Hi, I'm Rob from HopZine.com. Thanks for joining me for another video beer review. This time we're going to be looking at something very exclusive, something very special. It's a bottle of Sunk Punk from BrewDog. As you can see, fantastic looking label. It's designed by a graphic artist based in Scotland called Joanna Basford. I'm a big fan of her work. I've got a couple of her other bottles here. Got the bottle that she did for the Tate Modern 10th anniversary. That's a Saison. And I guess the beer that kind of started it all, really. Started this kind of project, really. It's a bottle of the Atlantic IPA, which was a really interesting beer. I bought that quite a few years ago now. Another beautiful label designed by Joanna. Anyway, on to Sunk Punk. It is a very unique beer. I mean, on the video, the promotional video for this, James Watt does talk about this, and I really kind of admire that he referred to it as a marketing gimmick. I think there's a lot of people who are quick to knock BrewDog. I'm probably guilty of being somebody who will jump all over one of their kind of latest marketing gimmicks. I mean, it gets a bit tiresome sometimes, but this one really appealed to me in a way. I guess because of my experiences with that, and that was one of the first early expensive beers I ever bought, and it really kind of appealed to me. And also I thought, well, if the beer's shit, I've got a really kick-ass looking bottle. I don't save many bottles, but I really like Joanna's work, so I'm definitely going to keep this regardless. And if it's rubbish, I mean, I've got a nice bit of artwork. Anyway, so the beer itself, it's 7.1%. It's a, I guess it is an IPA. I'm sure they've taken a lot of kind of guidance from what they do for punk and what they do for hardcore IPA. Probably of a similar family, this beer, as it's called Sunk Punk. I'd imagine it should be a variation of punk IPA. It's a bit stronger. It's 7.1%, and there's a few kind of interesting ingredients in this. There's distilled sea salt, which I had many beers with salt, but I've had a few. It uses buckwheat and it also uses rum. But I guess the main gimmick of this is that this beer was fermented at the bottom of the ocean. It was put in the fermenter and then pushed off a pier on the coast of Scotland and spent a couple of weeks at the bottom of the ocean fermenting. They chose to use lager yeast for this beer. Obviously they needed a yeast that can tolerate and work at a very low, rather low temperature. So anyway, so they came up with, Sunk Punk, 7.1% IPA. So let's get this in the glass. Not much life on that as I kind of cracked it open. In the glass, what can we see? Leave a little bit in the bottom. I'm getting a really nice and clean beer. It is like a pale, like a hazelnut colour, maybe like a pale copper colour. A nice little head of off-white, kind of quite nice foam. Anyway, let's have a sniff. That's quite interesting. It's definitely a BrewDog beer and a BrewDog hoppy beer, but of a different sort, I guess. I'm getting a kind of a wheatiness, which is a bit like brown bread. I'm getting that in there. Getting maybe a slightly burnt sugar edge to it. Like if you're trying to make caramel or something in the pan, and you leave the sugar in too long and it burns. There's a bit of that in there. The hops are in there. It's quite resinous. There's a little bit of a metallic quality to it. Maybe a slight sweatiness to it as well, which you do find in some hops. But it's not a fresh, vital, hoppy thing. It's quite a... I'd imagine, I don't do this very often, but if you aged a hoppy beer, a really hoppy monster, I'd imagine when those hops drop out, it smells like this. It's kind of like it's like a barley wine, but without the alcohol on the nose. Anyway, let's have a drink of this. Cheers. Nice mouthfeel. Nice, good amount of body for a 7.1% beer. Initial flavours. quite a resinous hop, along with a nice caramel quality actually. Those hops initially are definitely grapefruit. Grapefruit without a doubt. Maybe like a bit of an old orange peel maybe. Just like it's got a bit dry. And to be honest, I haven't chewed on a much kind of dried orange peel. But that's really what it reminds me of. A good amount of it's quite smooth really for an IPA. But when those hops come at the middle of the palate, they are big, resinous. They're not fresh. They're not kind of spritzy and vital or fruity. They're big and beefy and resinous. And the aftertaste is quite consistent grapefruit bitterness, and a titch a little bit of alcohol burn as it goes down. Only 7.1%. Enough for a lot of people. That's probably quite a strong beer, but for us beer geeks, I mean, it's not a very strong beer. It's mid-range, I guess. But I guess it might be a hint of that rum that there's putting in there, which is supplying a bit of that burn as it goes down. I wish I could have used my. I've got my kind of array of BrewDog bottles here. Somewhat I've had for quite a while. I mean, I've got bottles of Abstract. Goodness knows where I'm going to drink them. I guess I'm just a bit of a collector at heart. But anyway, I wish I could have. I had loads of BrewDog glasses, but the other day I had a complete massacre of BrewDog glasses. Absolutely good. 2 Teku glasses and a Chewed glass. I mean the ironing board took a swan dive towards all my empties, and I had a couple of glasses that were up for washing, and serves me right for not cleaning up my glasses, I guess. But anyway, so I'm making the best of a bad situation. Got my Magic Rock glass out. Why not? If we can't have a BrewDog glass, have somebody else who's at the forefront of craft brewing in England. Anyway, less of me waffling about my woes of glass breakages. Anyway, yeah. So Sunk Punk from BrewDog, 7.1%. It's a marketing gimmick, but I guess you could definitely hold that accusation against that, which is their Royal Virility Performance, which was an IPA, which had been monkeyed around with a bit, and this, to be honest, is streets ahead of that. I can see a lot of kind of similarities to Hardcore IPA. There's those kind of big, punchy, resinous hops, which are nicely balanced out by quite smooth caramel flavours. Obviously not as fresh and vital and kind of spritzy as something like Punk or maybe Hardcore, but it's an interesting beer, and it's an interesting little kind of gimmick. I mean, BrewDog are always up for a bit of shenanigans, and this is definitely definitely a bit of a shenanigan. So anyway, I'm gonna have a final swig before I wrap up. I mean, it's not a brilliant beer, but it's by no means a bad beer. It's yeah, in a way it kind of reminds me of if you were brewing a barley wine and it came out at 7.1% opposed to like what 10-12%. It kind of reminds me of that, which is funny. Anyway, I'm a big fan of Punk IPA. I can't see those kind of similarities in here, but I can definitely see those kind of similarities to Hardcore IPA. Anyway, so yeah, there you go. Sunk Punk from BrewDog. The first, probably, I'd imagine, the first ever beer to be brewed at the bottom of the ocean. I don't think anybody's going to do it again, but yeah, it's not a bad beer, and it's not a bad IPA at all. Anyway, I'm Rob from HopZine.com. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.